Episode 4 of the 605 Media and Entertainment Podcast. I'm joined here today with the Director of Corporate and Career Development at Black Hills State University, Hans Nelson, longtime Black Hillsian. How you doing?
Great. Good to be here. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of this. This is a cool experience, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about you, Spearfish, Black Hills in general. How do you like this Costa Rican coffee?
It's good. It's very good.
I don't think I've served it to guests since like the first episode.
Awesome.
So.
No, it's very good. And I think I don't know if this was intentional, but it's kind of cool for us to share this experience, not only audio, but also sharing a cup of coffee.
Oh, yeah. I always think of coffee and food as like the two things that bring human beings together.
Totally.
More than anything.
Totally.
So anyways, being in the position that you are at Black Hills State University, looking at the title Director of Corporate and Career Development, that's so vague. I have no idea what that means. And I honestly have no idea what you do. I talk about you all the time when I meet people because I'm like, oh, do you know Hans Nelson? Because interesting person, whatever. But people are like, oh, no, like, where does he work, whatever. And I was like, he's at Black Hills State, but I don't know what he does.
Yeah.
So now I will get to learn this as well as everyone else. If you want to talk about that a little bit.
So I started working at BH November 1st, 2017 as the Director of Corporate Relations. The whole goal of that job was to establish relationships with corporations and businesses across the state, across the country. President Jackson was very progressive, also thinking of eventually internationally. I remember sitting down with him in my interview and him talking about his dream for connecting with Korea because we have a lot of Korean students coming to the university, so we have those relationships, and potentially working with corporations there that want to establish business here. Really big thinking. But the position was created about 4 or 5 months, 6 months before I started, with that goal to establish relationships with corporations and to utilize it as a fundraising wing. Because my office is out of the University Advancement Office, which is home of the Alumni Association and Alumni Foundation. The Alumni Foundation is basically centered around fundraising, finding scholarship dollars and money to help support the growth of BH. So traditionally, foundations go after individuals, go after alums, go after folks that are wanting to give money to start scholarships or donate their estate. That's a traditional development model, right? Then most universities, larger universities, also have a corporate person involved because then they're the ones that are going to go after, Chase Bank or Verizon or whatever to create naming opportunities for the university. And so that was the dream. Create this position, start establishing relationships with our larger corporations to help with scholarships and capital investments. So I started hustling, going to meet with different folks, and while in those meetings, all the conversations would always go back to, well, we have internships. We have job opportunities. Like, we would love to hire BHSU students. So I would collect that information, go back to BH, and try to promote these opportunities to students. And what I discovered is that 5 years before I started, there used to be a career support. It was called the Student Success Center, where they supported career advising. We no longer had one. It was eliminated 5 years before I started, or 4 years before I started. And so there was a gap. And so then I was trying to do that, trying to get students aware of these opportunities. Because I learned that if we want to create these solid relationships with corporations that are going to potentially give us $1 million, $2 million, they need a return on their investment, and their return are students, employees. And there wasn't a system in place. So I started kind of pushing the envelope and trying to make that happen. We had a career support system through what we call our recruitment and retention specialists, but they became so focused on academic advising and advising students with registration and keeping students. And if you know what's going on with BH the last couple of years, we've had a really steep decline in enrollment. And a lot of students are leaving after their freshman, sophomore year. So they weren't really concentrating fully on career. And in my opinion, the reason you go to college is to get a degree, to get a job. Whether it's related to your degree or not, it should help you build those skills, build that expertise to then land you your career and what you're going to do for the rest of your life, or at least start you down that path. So about 6 months into my job, maybe a year, I think, more now that I think about it, I started saying, folks, I don't think it's realistic for corporate relations to really be realistic for the university. We don't live in a region where you have businesses that are willing to give $2 to $3 million, like Sioux Falls, right? You've been to Sioux Falls.
Mm-hmm.
You go there, it's the premier bank center.
Mm-hmm.
The Sanford Stadium, the Sanford, Avera, Premier Bank, these big companies that are competing for where their name is located in the community. And so we don't have that, unfortunately. Regional at the time, and now Monument Health and Black Hills Energy and those bigger corporations, I've met with them, and they don't really have the funding or the place to give those kinds of donations. And so I said, I don't know if it's realistic for me just to be focused on that. Where we really need support is career services. So then they added that to my title, Director of Corporate and Career Development. So while I'm building those relationships, I am also helping students find those opportunities. And really, my job title really should be Director of Connecting and Mediating, because that's what I do. I just connect people. I find a student that wants this opportunity, and thankfully with just my involvement and my being from this area, I usually know somebody that I can connect them to. And one of my biggest frustrations with the university overall, and just any public entity like a college, is it can be a bit of a mess. If you're from the outside, trying to find services or who to talk to, it can be a bit of a nightmare. So I've really told the community and businesses that if you need something, just reach out to me. I will go and hunt. I will go and look for where you need to go. So then it's not a phone tag or a wild goose chase to find the services. And so I'm really becoming a connector, community engagement, and getting the community and BH kind of to work together. That was a long answer, but that is kind of a nutshell of what I do.
Dang.
Fundraising, event planning, career development.
All right. So what is that? That's a lot.
Yeah.
And it just seems like so. I don't know. Like that's big picture.
Yeah.
What is kind of like a day to day like look like for you, like when you go to work?
So.
Or is every day just completely
every day is
different?
different, which I love. I
Okay.
love about my job. The pieces that I don't do well, a weakness, is I'm not a process implementer. I don't do well with, so for example, a business sends me an email and says, I want to have my job posted on the Jacket Jobs page that I've created. It's basically our online job board. So they'll send me that email. I'm not really good. I might get 10 of those in a day. So then I have to manually go online and insert those into an Excel spreadsheet. I don't do well with that. My time management isn't well. I'm not good with processes that take time to sit. I'm a go, meet people, make those connections, move on. So a day in my life consists of emails, checking emails to see what's come in for the day. I try to create a plan, and I have a few to-dos that I try to get done for today or tomorrow. Unfortunately, this job leads me to procrastinate a lot because something might come in right at the last minute that needs attention. So, for example, right now, I've got the career and teacher fair happening in February. I've got What's the Buzz session happening. It's our speaking series in February. I've got a Super Bowl party happening in February. Those are events. So I'm slowly planning for each of those. Emails, Facebook posts, reaching out to faculty, students, community members just to get them involved. So a lot of it's just spreading the word and connecting people. Same time I'm getting jobs coming in, so then I've got to put that online or send that to my work study who will put it in our spreadsheet. And then maybe one day I've got a meeting, like today I've got a meeting with a student to talk about her resume, to walk through that, talk about jobs, where she wants to maybe work. So I'll sit down with her and chat about it. And then maybe this afternoon, my supervisor, my boss, Steve Meeker, will say, hey, Hans, I need to talk with you. We've got this Scholarship 101 meeting coming in. I need to bounce some ideas and thoughts off of you, what you think we should talk about. So it's very different every day, which I enjoy. And then And then I'm also very involved in the community. So like one day I might have a Rotary Club meeting that I got to go to, or I need to go meet with this person involved with another event that I'm putting on. So it's a lot of organizing, planning, just making sure that the process and the ship stays afloat.
Dang, at least it stays diverse, keeps everything fresh. I'm sure that's nice.
Yeah.
I find it interesting now knowing what you do, like how, and to some degree, the involvement you have with your work is kind of the same involvement that you do with the community in terms of like all these things that you're involved in, such as like the Rotaries Club. You're part of the young professionals group here in Spearfish. What else are you?
So I chair a nonprofit here in town called Northern Hills Sources of Support. It's basically a new nonprofit that's based, their whole goal, our whole aim is to provide resources for those that are in need and connect them to the resources that already exist within the Northern Hills. So we're kind of a help desk in many ways. We have an executive director, so I chair that board, and we have an event happening next week. So I'm kind of helping plan that, get that going. So yeah, part of Rotary. I work part-time at Nelson Chiropractic, which is my family's business here in town.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I work Saturday mornings, just 2 times a month.
Just front desk, or
just
do
front
you
desk.
crack backs?
No, I don't crack
okay.
backs. But yeah, I work there Saturdays, answer the phone, greet patients, take their money when they finish. And I do that just to help with their staff to rotate. And then obviously there's the one-off activities that happen every once in a while, like I sing the national anthem for the basketball games whenever I'm needed there. So I used to sing in the choir at the college community choir, but just due to time, and it's a late evening thing from 7 to 9 once a week that gets pretty late. And I live in Sturgis now, so that commute at 9 o'clock at night is not always the greatest. Yeah, so those are the two. Those are the big. So Rotary, Northern Hills SOS, Young Professionals, and then obviously random committees and stuff related to college. But
dang, that's a lot. I want to come back to the Rotaries Club and the Young Professionals, but I want to first go to a question I didn't originally have written down, which is, what do you do to relax? Like, do you relax, or is this all you want to do? Is just go, go, go?
So I like to ski. I'm a big downhill skier. I was blessed to have a father who had the foresight to go, I want my children to ski. And so as soon as my brother and I were comfortably walking at the age of 3, he took us up to Terry Peak and got us to ski. And so I enjoy that. That's a thrill. I'm kind of I wouldn't say I'm an adrenaline junkie, but I'm pretty close. I love going fast, and I love just letting the mountain take me. And so I do that. I love the ukulele is a fun thing that I literally will go home and be like, I like this song. I'm going to see if there's uke chords for it. And then I'll just sit there literally and play and sing. I love to sing. I wish I did more of it. I also I like to, when the weather's nice, I like to kind of do manual labor and get my hands dirty and just build something. I love cooking. That helps me relax.
Hans Nelson, not a Netflix and chill kind of guy.
Actually, that's gotten pretty. Well, since I bought a house and I own a TV and I have an Apple TV, I do Netflix quite a bit when I just need to unwind. The Office, I just finished. I didn't watch it consistently every episode, but I caught every season, and I just watched the last episode. Great. The last season 9. Did you watch The Office?
I've only seen like certain episodes. I've never like watched it all the way through.
Episode 9 is pretty awesome. You can tell it was their last season. Or sorry, episode 9. Season 9, you can tell it was their last one because they put in a lot of work. Some really funny stuff. The bringing certain cast members back, especially the last episode. So yeah, I like watching that. A friend of mine has turned me on to New Girl, which is okay.
Okay.
So yeah. Not really a big... I don't like watching shows because I got hooked on Breaking Bad and Sons of Anarchy and that so lifestyle, good. Just like having that anxiety every night, like crazy stuff. So yeah.
That's good to know. I recommend to you street food. I've been recommending that like crazy recently. It's a Netflix docu-series on food, and if you like cooking, I think you'd like that.
Yeah.
But,
no, I think I've heard of it.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, going back, what is kind of, do you want to talk about like Rotaries Club
Sure.
a little bit and like your position there?
So I started learning about Rotary Club when I traveled with this organization called Up With People, which we can talk about later. It's an international organization. And when I was doing PR work for this Up With People program, I utilized Rotary, Kiwanis, Lions Club to go to their meetings and spread the word. Because, right, you have all these professionals in one room together for an hour for lunch or breakfast, and it's an opportunity for you to get up and talk about what you're doing and spread the word. And they're usually very service orientated, giving back to the community and just being involved. And I knew one day, whenever I planted my seeds and roots, that I wanted to get involved in one of those. Because I truly feel one of my mantras in life is just get involved. I mean, my life story is all based on getting involved and the people I met through doing that and the opportunities it brought to my life. I mean, I've traveled 15 different countries and met Germany and lived in Virginia and Minneapolis, all because of people I met and the connections that I made. And so I knew I wanted to be a part of an organization. I came back. I unfortunately didn't check out Kiwanis. I should have, but I went and checked out a Lions Club meeting. Loved that group of guys. Really great. And I'll be honest on this, a big reason why I didn't join Lions is it's a men's only club. And nothing against that. It's just I have plans for leadership roles here in Spearfish, and I want to make sure that when I'm involved in the community that I'm in a group that is accepting to everybody. But Lions is a great organization, and I respect them and think that they do great things. It's just I had a different plan and a different group, and then I was introduced to Rotary and invited to go along, and I learned that their fundraiser, so every club's got their event, right? So Kiwanis helps out, I forget exactly their big fundraiser, but Lions helps out during Festival in the Park. They do a pancake feed over Easter. That's how they raise their money for their donations that they give back to the community or their special fund that they have. Rotary, 20, 30 years ago, I don't even know, they bought pipe and drape that you see at trade shows, weddings, concerts. I mean, I've seen videos of you interacting with our Rotary Club people that set up the pipe and drape for stuff up at the Deadwood Mountain Grand.
Oh, okay.
So that is Rotary stuff. We own that. We have 2 trailers, and Deadwood Mountain Grand pays us to set that up. And so as a club, we volunteer to set it up.
Okay.
Like we have a big thing coming up in March. It's the Optimist Home Show. So at the field house at the Young Center at BH, they have so many of these home show folks, from construction people to cookware, whatever. We set up those booths. It's our largest event. The money we get, we collect. I mean, we make close to $15,000 a year just in doing that business. And I thought, that's pretty cool. An organization that has a business, how they make money, and they make a lot of it, so much that we had about $40,000 in a bank account that we didn't know what to do with. And this year, we celebrate our 25th anniversary. We gave away $27,000 to 5 organizations throughout the Northern Hills. And one group got $23,000. It was Sacred Mountain Retreat Center. It's a retreat center for first responders and veterans. They're going to purchase a van or a Suburban with that and then have it wrapped. And we just thought that would be a great way for us to support them. So I thought that was cool. They're running a business, and their motto is service above self, which is something that I truly believe in as well. It's not all about me in life. And so I liked what they did. They had some great members, and so I joined Rotary, and I enjoy it. And we meet every Wednesday for lunch at Lucky 13 at the Holiday Inn. And I'm excited. We have one other fundraiser called Bingo, Brats, Beer, and Polka. And so They asked me to be the bingo guy last year. And so, living in Germany, you have to have lederhosen. So I wore my lederhosens, and I'm the bingo guy. B1, I2. Yeah, so it's fun. But yeah, so that's Rotary.
Dang, okay. That's a lot there.
Yeah.
Like you are super involved in quite a bit. How long have you been part of Rotary Club? club?
2 years.
2 years?
I joined
Okay.
a little bit after I moved back home. Yeah.
So I guess let's go back. So you were traveling all over the world. When did this start? And if you want to kind of get into the story of
Yep.
of that whole part of your life.
So I grew up in the Black Hills, born in Spearfish. Started going to school in Belfouche when we moved to the country in first grade. Graduated from Belfouche 2003. Went to USD. Graduated in 2007 with an elementary education degree. Planned to be a teacher. But in my sophomore year, I learned about this organization called Up With People, thanks to this very good friend and mentor, and she's like my second, third mom, Kathleen Adamson, who traveled with Up With People back in the 80s, told me and said, Hans, you got to check out this organization. It's perfect. You're a performer, you're an entertainer, but you're also a great guy. You care about the community, you care about people. That's what this organization's about. So she told me about it. 2006, I got to see them in concert in Sioux Falls. And I was like, this is pretty cool. I could do this. And did my interview with them. And my plan was when I graduated from college, I wanted to work for them. I didn't want to travel as a participant because I thought I was too old. Because the organization takes students between the ages of 18 and 29. And so I was 22, I think, at the time when I graduated. And 22, 23, so I was like, oh, this will be my career. I'll just go and work for them. Well, this woman, Kathy DeGraff is her name, she told me, Hans, you should travel as a student participant in this program before you work for us because you'll have a better understanding of how it works. So I paid $11,000 to travel with this organization for 6 months. And the whole point of it is 6 months of travel with 18 to 29-year-olds. And on average, there's between 80 to 100 participants within that group. It's a performance arts-based group, so we were called a cast, right? So with a play, you've got a cast.
Yeah.
So we were casts. There was 2 in each year that traveled for 6 months apiece. Cast A traveled from January to June. Cast B, July to December. And then the staff was given a 2-week break between each semester to go home to do whatever. So I graduated from college December 2007. A month later, January 2008, my girlfriend at the time drove me to Denver, went and started the orientation. I was there for a month. And during that, in Denver, and in that orientation, you learn the show. You do kind of modules, what they call them, but they're kind of glorified auditions. And we did those. We learned the show, but then we're at the same time, so you're traveling with these 18 to 29-year-olds, 80 to 100 participants from 20 to 25 different countries. So I'm sitting in this room with these. We had a big group. There was 110 of us, which included the staff. I'm sitting with this group, and there's this guy from Nepal. There's a guy from Denmark. There's a girl from Norway. There's a guy from Italy. There's a group of girls from Mexico. I mean, it was just this really cool environment. It was like a mini world meeting, right? Gathering, summit. And we're all there together learning this experience, traveling to city by city. And how the model worked is we'd be in Denver for a month, learning the program, learning the show. And then we set on tour. And then we hit 20, I think that tour we did 24 cities. And we did each city for a week. So we'd arrive in a city on a Monday, be there the whole week, leave the next Monday, go to another city, another city, another city, another city. Average, you usually travel 3 different countries in 6 months. So with that program, that first semester for me as a student, we traveled Denver, then we went to Iowa, then we went to Illinois, Missouri, Texas, Mexico. Did a whole stint in Mexico where we were not Up With People, we were Viva la Gente. And so we did Mexico. And then from Mexico City, we flew to Bangkok, Thailand. And then we went to Chiang Rai. But instead of being there, when we're in Asia, usually we spend a week to 2 weeks, sometimes a month in one country.
Okay.
And so we spent 2 weeks in Chiang Rai, 2 weeks in Khon Kaen, which is in the northeast region. And then we went back to Bangkok, had a little party, farewell, everyone left. I made a lot of friends in that, obviously. You're with this group of people for 6 months traveling city to city. So I made very good friends with the guy from Denmark named Christian Ginsberg and Michael Michel Reda from Eastern Germany. And we're like, let's just stay in Thailand. Why not? So we bought backpacks and just backpacked around, went to Phuket, went to Koh Phangan. So I did that for 6 months. Then learned I was going to work for them. And then I worked for them for another 6 months. And then I kept working for them. And 5 years later, all over the world. And so with that experience, probably have traveled 25 different cities on average for 9 semesters. I don't know how many cities that is, but that's a lot.
Yeah.
And then 80 people on average for 9 semesters. So that's 450 students that I traveled with. Obviously, some were the same. Then with that experience, you live with host families. So you talk about food and how that's a way to connect with people. I gained a lot of weight on the road. One, stress, living out of a suitcase for 6 months out of twice a year, traveling different countries. I mean, I learned the art of packing efficiently. Mm-hmm. But that stress, and then going to Mexico where they're very hospitable, and you walk in, and I'm this big white guy, and they're like, "Oh, come eat, let's eat food," and like they eat it late at night, so I'm eating tacos in the street food area, 10 o'clock at night.
Oh.
And then Thailand, they're cooking my food over an open fire, and this one crazy story, this woman in Thailand, I'm sitting there eating my breakfast meanwhile, there's a bag shaking around, and I look, and it's a live fish that they just got from the market that they were going to cook for my dinner that night. Mm-hmm. This woman comes up from these rice paddies that were around this village that I was living in, and she had this big old 5-gallon bucket, and inside it there were all these little freshwater crabs just like clawing around in a bucket full that she went and scavenged around this field because the crabs eat the rice. Mm-hmm. So she'd catch them all. That night I came home, freaking the table was just a pile of cooked crab. And it was just a cool experience. Traveling also exposes you to crazy food. Like I've had a thing called balut. You heard of balut from the Philippines?
I think so, yeah.
Google that. Okay. It's a fertilized duck egg.
Okay.
And you eat them. You can choose how old you want them. You can get really fresh ones that are like our hard-boiled eggs. And then you wait till they're about 5 or 6 weeks old, and then they get a little crunchy and feathers because that duck is starting to develop.
Oh. Okay.
Crazy.
Huh. Interesting.
Craziest
and you've had both?
Yes.
Okay.
Craziest thing I've ever eaten were the worms from the mangrove trees that look like long gray spaghetti noodles. Mm-hmm. Angel hair pasta noodles, actually. They're really thin. And they're horrible.
Huh.
And this guy from Bahamas that I was eating with just literally rolled them on his fork like spaghetti and ate it. It was disgusting.
Oh, man.
So, yeah. Up with people. I could go on for days about that program.
Oh, that's fair. What was the performance then? Like, what was that like? What does a viewer see?
So I'm surprised I didn't go into that. So the show is basically imagine all these international participants and you're on this one stage. So that in itself is impactful, right? Mm-hmm. You talk about the idea of bringing everyone together and unity, and there's so many songs that are written by other people. My favorite one is called Moonrider, and it's about an astronaut's perspective on the world. When you're in space, you don't see borders, you don't see countries, you don't see fences, you don't see anything like that. You just see one whole Earth, all of us as one, together. And that's what Up With People is. It's just showing the world coming together, and we maybe have different color skin or we speak a different language, but we're all the same. And that's truly what was impactful for me. Meeting these people from all over the world, coming from Belfast, South Dakota, and meeting people from Nepal and realizing, he likes punk rock music. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he enjoys a pizza every once in a while on Friday night. It's so interesting when you really think about it. Huh. And I think we all get so caught up in how people look.
But it was like a concert then?
Yeah, so it was an international show that highlighted international music, but then there was also a positive message infused in it as well. We usually didn't sing covers, but we would more and more as we traveled in the program. Like I sang this song, it was my rock star moment. Never forget it. Daughtry, Chris Daughtry?
Yeah.
He had this song called What About Now, which is a love song. Yeah. But we took it as what about now? Like, what about today? Today's the time for change. Like, what about now? Like, And so it was a cool show. But then we had an international section where we had our Japanese students get up and do this really cool traditional Japanese dance. And the next song would be this beautiful mariachi song sang in Spanish. And then what was really neat, when we would go to each country, we would kind of pay homage, show our respect, and learn a song in that native language. So I've sang songs in Thai, Tagalog, which is in the Philippines, Spanish, obviously. When we went to Mexico, we were celebrities.
Huh.
We were rock stars.
Okay.
I performed for, I'll never forget, San Luis Potosí, 5,500 people in this outdoor venue, and I'm up there and dressed like a mariachi singing these songs.
Mm-hmm.
A baseball park in this really cool town called Navajoa, baseball stadium full of people. And I used to sing this song, which is a very macho performer, Vicente Fernandez. And the song I sang was Estos Celos. You need to look up what this Vicente Fernandez looks like, because two men that admire the mustache.
Uh-huh.
This guy's he is the Burt Reynolds of Mexico.
Okay.
So I sang that song. So we would do that, and I mean, that would connect us with the audience, with the culture, because they'd be like, oh my gosh, they learned this song in our language, we can understand it.
Yeah.
This is cool. So it was basically a 2-hour performance, bringing the world onto one stage.
Okay. Dang, that is really unique. That sounds amazing. I was laughing a little bit earlier. Have you been to Disneyland or Disney World?
Oh yeah.
So it's like it's a small world,
Yes.
but cooler.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like what I was
Exactly.
thinking in my head.
I mean, Up With People has a funny cliche past and history, and just the whole thing. People kind of look at it and go, oh, you know, all these people together singing positively. And it was formed in 1965 during the Civil Rights era, and it had a positive message. And I think, but when people really come and see it and really understand it and are in front of and see what it is and what we do, it's impactful. It doesn't matter who you are, whatever. If you really strip down and go, this is pretty amazing to see these young people from all over the world together. It's an impactful thing. It impacted my life. I mean, it led to every job that I've had thus far, minus this one, just because I moved home.
That's fair. Does this still exist?
Yep.
Okay,
So they still
so
do it. So
people
if anyone
could
is
still.
out there, upwithpeople.org. Check it out. Reach out to me. I can get you a golden passport. I hope they still do that. $1,000 off your tuition. It is a worthwhile investment. I would say I learned more in that 5 years with Up People than I did in my 16 years of high school, college, I would say. And I feel confident in saying that. Not that I didn't learn anything in high school and middle school and kindergarten and college, but I really learned life skills and how to survive in this world from that experience.
Dang. How old are you right now?
35.
35. So when did you come back? Because you came back after you were done with this program,
well,
correct?
No.
Okay.
2012. So I met a girl in 2010, a German,
Okay.
named Sonia Drescher. We became very good friends and then started dating. And then when I finished in 2012, she moved back to Germany to finish school. And I was in this situation. Do I move back to the Black Hills? I have an opportunity in Virginia, or do I go move to Germany? Like, I didn't know which one to do. And ultimately I said, YOLO, I'm going to move to Germany. So I went to...
In 2012?
2012. Well,
That's when
No.
YOLO was big, so that's why I was wondering.
2012 was when I made the decision. January 2013 is actually when I moved there.
Okay.
And within a week...
But still, YOLO was big in
Totally.
2012. That's
Huge.
when it came up.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah, sorry.
That's all right.
Side note.
So, yeah, 2013 I officially moved there. And within a week I had a job teaching at an American Montessori school, finally putting my education to practice, and was hired as the head teacher for a private Montessori school that I wouldn't really call a Montessori school. It was labeled that, but our practices and our teaching styles weren't fully the Montessori way. But we used that as our instrument to teach the kids. 3 to 6 years old, 50 kids. That's where I really learned and honed on my ukulele skills, if you can call it that. Did that. Was there from 2013, 2014. Then June of 2014 was going through a turbulent period. The school was kind of getting tough. There was a lot of administrative changes. I didn't know what was going to potentially happen with me. I didn't know if that was where I wanted to be. Tried to look for other jobs in Germany. Very difficult because I'm speaking English all day. and then trying to integrate it in the German culture, it was hard for me to pick up the language. I had to take classes, and I was learning it. Like, ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch, und mein Name ist Hans, und ich lebe in Köln für 1 Jahr und ich bin ein Lehrer, und ich komme aus Amerika, von South Dakota, so I can do little stuff like that. Kind of hit a low point in my life. I was like, crap, I'm with this girl that I love. I'm living in this awesome country, but I don't feel whole.
Mm.
And one thing I've discovered about myself since then is I thrive on human interaction and communication and talking to people. I can talk, clearly. I've been talking for I don't know how long. How long are we going now?
36 minutes so far.
So, I need that. And when there'd be nights I'd go out with my girlfriend and her friends, there'd be times when I would sit there for half an hour, maybe 45 minutes without saying anything. Just listening, which was good for me. It's always good to learn how to be a good listener, but it was difficult for me to express myself. So I kind of hit a low, didn't know where I was heading for, I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. And her and I both decided I was going to move back to the U.S. Moved to the U.S., lived in Virginia then, through a connection with Up With People, was the camp director for Camp Up With People, which we won't go into too much detail, but that's for 13 to 17-year-olds, 3-week summer camp. Learn a show, just like the big program, but they don't travel, they just live at summer camp, so they get the traditional summer camp experience while learning the Up With People program, the show.
Okay.
That was partnered with a big traditional summer camp called Camp Horizons, so I worked for the Horizons family, called Endless Horizons. I did customer service for this big summer camp, then camp director during the summer for that camp. I lived on-site campus. I lived in the cool old nature center that they had that they converted into a cabin in the middle of the Shenandoah Valley. Beautiful, great memories there. Wonderful people to work with. Then my girlfriend was like, well, I'm done with school. Maybe it's time for me to come to the U.S., but I'm not going to live in Virginia because I went to school for corporate development, and she went to business psychology, so her whole thing was helping talent management, helping companies do mergers and how to become more effective leadership, managers. That's what her, so she needed to be in a city, right?
Yeah.
Not in Harrisonburg, Virginia, which was 2 hours south of D.C., which we considered living in D.C. and commuting, but I was like, no. And it's funny, every 2 years of my life, there's always been a new opportunity that's come my way. And usually in 2 years, that's when you're kind of getting stir crazy. Is this where I want to be? Is this whatever? And literally, every 2 years of my life, I've always been presented with another opportunity. I think it's because I'm sharing with the universe that maybe I'm not comfortable here, and it's God's way of saying, well, here's another opportunity. Do you want to take it? There's a challenge there.
Yeah.
So at that 2-year point, somebody called me and they said, I got a job for you in Minneapolis. So that 2 years, so then I was like, Minneapolis is great. She could be successful in Minneapolis. She likes Minneapolis. So I left that job in Virginia, drove home, and then went to Minneapolis and worked there for 2 years with a nonprofit organization called Experitas. I was the English program director. My role was to work with international programs that want to send students to the United States for 3 to 5 weeks in the summertime to learn English. So I would find host families for them. So very similar type of work is Up With People, because I learned the art of finding host families and helping with that. Similar thing there with English programs. But they were going through a huge change. The guy who hired me was the CEO. He was let go, and then the company started downsizing due to just running out of money. And my job was cut. And so I was kind of like, crap, what am I going to do? I started looking for jobs in Virginia or Minneapolis, BT Dub. By the way, I don't know why I said BT Dub. I don't even text that. The German girl, her and I split.
Mm-hmm.
She went back to Germany for good reason, because we were kind of at a point where I wanted to stay in the U.S. She wanted to live in Germany, and I felt more comfortable being in the United States. Felt like I could grow myself professionally. So she left, and then I was trying to see if I wanted to stay in Minneapolis, tried to look for jobs, and then I learned something else about myself through that experience, that I I like being a big fish in a small pond rather than a small fish in a big pond. I was not involved when I lived in Minneapolis for that 2 years. It was hard.
Mm-hmm.
It was hard to find a community to belong to, a community to connect with. I went to church there. I tried to volunteer, but it was on the other side of town, the cities. It was tough. So I would just go to my house every night. That's where I learned the art of Netflix and chill. Not the... Anyways.
Yeah.
So I just was, and I was like, I think it's time for me to move back. And I got a call from my sister-in-law, and she said, hey, there's a job opening up at BH Corporate Relations. It's got your name written all over it. It's connecting, it's meeting people, it's building relationships. You should apply. A very good friend, Melissa Christensen, who's a great friend of mine now, she was the one that told her about it. And I came home, applied. A couple weeks later, got the job, started November 1st. So there we are, full circle.
Dang, that's crazy. And so now, the rest is kind of history. Now we're here. So, one of my questions was what brought you back, but like you've answered that. When were you a preschool teacher then?
I was a preschool teacher from 2013 to mid 2014.
Did you talk about that?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Now, I didn't go into too much detail, but I was a head teacher for 50 3 to 6 year olds.
Okay.
And the Montessori method believes that the 3 to 6 year olds should be grouped in the classroom together because the 6 year olds will teach the 3 year olds, therefore also learning, and the 3 year olds, 3 to 4 or 5 year olds, will then be impacted by the older kids following them, watching them, and so.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh? I've never even heard of that before.
I made. You would really appreciate it. It was the best movie I ever made.
The movie? Oh.
Sorry, not movie.
No, I got you. I got excited for a second. I was like, oh.
Video, because that was a stressful environment.
Mm-hmm.
Being with all those little kids. I've never been so sick in my entire life.
Just like physically sick, like because
the
kids were sick and
diseases.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Snotty noses. I mean, the amount of shoes that I tied and the noses that I ran. I made sure to keep sane by doing cool little things.
Mm-hmm.
So I would always have my cell phone, and whenever the kids would do something really cool, or just because what I love about teaching is children are so fascinating in terms of their creativity, their fearlessness. They're learning to become a human being. And the things that I would see and experience and capture, I love to take pictures of it. And so I made little books at the end of the year of my year review being with these kids. And so that helped pass the time, playing the ukulele. Like there would literally be days I'd be so stressed obviously their attention span is maybe like 5 minutes, but I then would just go from one create. My favorite activity is those building blocks,
the
triangle and the sphere and all these different shapes.
Okay, yeah.
We had a huge bucket full, and I would throw them all in the middle of the floor in a pile, and all the kids would sit in a circle. And one kid at a time, whoever's sitting the nicest and being the quietest would be able to get up first. So one would get up, and I say they grab one and they come and set it on the floor, and then they'd sit down. And then the next student would come up, take one, and we build castles together using these blocks.
Mm-hmm.
It was so cool to see what we would create together as a class to make this huge castle made of this random pile of things. And so we would do that for hours. My favorite activity, though, is I went and made, one of our teachers made homemade Play-Doh, and if you put it in the microwave, it would harden, or the oven, it would harden. And one month was dinosaur month, and so I made dinosaur bones, or what looked like dinosaur bones. And we had a sandbox. And I showed up to work about 6:30, went out, buried all these dinosaur bones, and then made a little dig site. I had strings, with the squares and areas. And then I found all of our shovels and our brushes, and then we went out, and I taught them how to dig for dinosaur bones. And I said, you got to be very careful because they're fragile. These things are millions of years old. I mean, one wrong move and you can crack it, break it, and it disappears forever.
Yeah.
And so literally they would take their little hands and dig and feel around, and they would, Mr. Nelson, I found this bone. And then we, oh my gosh, and we'd get down and they'd get the paintbrush and they'd brush it out and they'd find, it was really, really cool.
Dang.
I loved being excited with the kids and learning and exploring and all that. So
that sounds incredible.
Yeah.
Dang. So now being now being back in the Black Hills, do- whether growing up or just like since being back, are there any like really fond stories that you could tell?
From the Black Hills?
Yeah, just from the Black Hills specifically.
I mean, I think it's really cool to be back and just see new buildings, but then see some of the old buildings. But um, fond memories of the canyon. You know, Spearfish Canyon, I think, is a hidden gem that we have. And Crow Peak. I mean, I grew up in the country, and I grew up every morning going out and seeing Crow Peak there, and so that's always been a special place. And then for them to create Crow Peak Brewery, I just thought that was so cool, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, I grew up on a ranch. I didn't spend a lot of time in town, so I was always out at the house. So where a lot of my memories are from the ranch and the place I grew up on. I mean, my brother and I entertained ourselves. We didn't have the pleasures of hopping on a bike and going down the street to our buddy's house.
Mm-hmm.
We did that every once in a while, but we were given 60 acres to go and run and do whatever. So the imagination and the creativity and the exploration that my brother and I did, I think really helped us with who we are now and as men in the community. But I have a lot of great memories in Belfouche. I mean, running around there with my friends and causing trouble. And yeah, it's cool to be back now as an adult, though, and just see I never thought that Spearfish and Belfouche, you know, when you're a kid, you don't think about growth and development, you know, economic development and all that. You don't think about that. Now when you come back, you realize it's so important for our communities to thrive and to become what they are, because it creates amazing opportunities for our kids and also a safe place for our kids. And that's what I love about being back here. It's a great community to raise a family, a good supportive group of people. And whenever I travel, I still like to travel. The Dalai Lama claimed in the new millennium that you should travel somewhere new every year. And I've tried to live up to that, whether it's international or nationally here. And I think whenever I leave and then I meet, I'm in that experience and I come back, I'm like, gosh, I'm really grateful to live in a town like this. I'm grateful to live in a town where I can walk into the grocery store and I recognize people and people say hello, or I'm at the checkout counter and the person asks, how was your day? You know, what are you up to? What do you do for work? Where most places you go, they could care less.
Mm-hmm.
And they even find it weird when you try to carry on those conversations. So I would say that's what I really love and value about being back here, is just that small town vibe and people caring about people and being the Mr. Rogers way. And it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, like truly it's to be a good neighbor.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I mean, it's so simple, but it's hugely impactful. And yeah.
Are there any short-term or long-term goals that you want to talk about?
I don't know if I want to have this in recording forever,
Okay.
locked in time, but I'm going to say it anyways. But short-term goals is I want to continue to be successful with my role and just helping with the career development at BH. Short-term goal too, I'm excited about starting a family. I think I've been very focused on my career, and so I'm excited about just that and potentially meeting somebody that I want to be with for the rest of my life. That would be short term. Long term is I'm going to be president of the United States. No, not that far.
Oofda.
President of Black Hills State University.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
That's my big long term.
Do you want to talk about that at all?
Sure. I've been trying to think of, what could I do to really leave a lasting impression on my community, my state, and I think by being in that kind of role, you have a lot of influence on the future of the area based on educating and supporting the education of young people. And I've always been the kind of person where I've always been a good follower, and I follow and I support the leadership that I'm under. But I'm also a critical person in that situation, and I'm always taking notes. If I was in that position, what would I do differently? I'm always doing that. Charles Darwin has this awesome quote, and I mean, this isn't really related to being president one day, but it's not the strongest or the smartest species that survive. It's the ones most receptive to change. And so I think that's huge. I think change is so important. If there's one thing that frustrates me about anything in life, it's the type of people that like to ride on their inner tube around the lazy river and just sit, punch in, punch out, do the status quo.
Mm-hmm.
And I go into work every day hoping to make some difference in somebody's life or something. And I feel like being in that kind of role, you would be able to make a lot of change and really help with things. I know it'll be a very frustrating and tough job, but I've been in some leadership roles through my life that have given me a taste of what it would take. And at the end of the day, it's valuing your team and it's supporting what's important. And so my track, here's my plan, my roadmap.
Okay. Do
this role for a little bit, eventually move into more of a development role, really to hone in on my fundraising skills. Potentially, my supervisor, Steve, is my supervisor now. It'd be great one day when he retires, if I had the opportunity to take his job, I would. While also getting my MBA, and then if what I would need is to have definitely some experience being in the classroom and being a professor. I've heard from many of my mentors and folks that have been in presidential roles at universities, they always say you need to be a professor. You need to know that world if you're going to lead a majority of professors, clearly. So if there's one place that I would like to do that in, is tourism hospitality. I don't feel like the program currently at BH is where it should be, and I would like to be the catalyst for that to change. I would love to take that position and really run with it and take full advantage of our area and our resources to make that program amazing. Because if there's one program that could set us apart from every other institute in the state, it's tourism hospitality. Because every other program has education, every other program has exercise science, every other college has business. Not every program has tourism hospitality. SDSU has hospitality, but they don't have the tourism piece associated to it. So that's my plan there. Then from there, potentially getting my doctorate. Obviously, that would be important. And then going for the big one.
Wow.
So.
Well, at least you got it all planned out and mapped out. It's not just something you want to say. It's something that sounds it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So super exciting. And
life can happen though. Who knows?
Oh, well, of course.
Big old left hook will come in, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to start this business.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's how it works.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know. I love that part of life. Is
totally.
Just unexpectedness and things changing in good ways. Obviously, It can go the opposite, but we won't get into that.
Yeah.
So what can we expect from you in the near future? What are some plans? Where are we going to see you at?
Yeah. So in the near future, there's going to be a lot of. I'm hoping there's going to be a lot of changes in the career development world at BH. Our new president, which I'm super excited about, Dr. Nichols. I'm excited to learn from her, be a part of her era, and she's really excited about bringing back a career center. And so in the near future, I'm going to be an instrumental part in bringing that to campus and really trying to bring in programs and systems and events that support the growth of that. Whether it's Career Week before a career fair, maybe it's changing our career fair model all around where it's more engaging. I've got a lot of plans there for that. So that's near future, but then bring on some new events. Like What's the Buzz is a new thing that my boss and I started recently. And just continue. I'm really excited to keep breaking records at the college with our fundraising goals. So that's near stuff. And try, as much as I love being involved, I'm trying to say no more. It's hard.
Oh yeah.
It's very hard to say no. Because it's just, yeah. But as I said earlier, one of my short-term goals is to start a relationship, to start a family. I don't want to be that father, that partner that is, and I've learned this recently, that is so into my professional development and forgetting about that.
Yeah.
So I've got to start finding that balance.
I think too. I mean, don't take this the wrong way, but I'm assuming you'd agree. Like you're kind of doing that. Not, I don't want to even say later, just later than most, but more so at like maybe the right time to
Exactly.
be doing that because you're 35 now,
Yeah.
right? And so it's like okay, like have all these experiences, and now I can be comfortable in one spot,
Yep.
unless because I mean the opposite would be like oh you're gonna travel the world again,
Exactly.
go crazy,
Yeah.
but.
Yeah.
Super cool. Well, is there anything you want to plug?
Yeah. So Tuesday, January. Well, when will this be going out? Will it go
Monday.
out?
So yeah.
Well, tomorrow or January 28th is our hunger banquet with Northern Hills Sources of Support at the Jacket Legacy Room in the Student Union at Black Hills State University from 5:30 to 8. It's a really cool poverty awareness simulation dinner experience. I know that it's at the same exact time as the Spearfish Small Revolution Business Revolution rally. So, can't win them all. But
Yeah.
if you have an interest in learning about what poverty looks like in the Northern Hills, come to that. February 2nd, Joy Center is doing a Super Bowl party. It's free to the public. We've got some great sponsors lined up for that to allow for us to pay for our expenses, and then money will go towards the BHSU football program, which is also exciting. We have a whole new coaching staff. Again, changed. Not that the last one was bad. I love that staff. They're a great group of guys. But like anything, if we're not winning and things aren't happening,
So
change
Bjorn
things
is
out.
gone.
No.
Ah, well now I'm disappointed.
I know.
No, I'm just kidding.
Bjorn is a volunteer.
Yeah, I know.
So,
I was completely joking
no, I
with
know.
that.
Yeah. Bjorn is gone. Yeah.
Thank goodness, the real issue.
Exactly.
Your brother.
Get that kid out of here, Bjorn. Yeah, so those are the two big things coming up, and then the Black Hills State University Career Fair, February 26th, and I think that's it.
All right. Are you on the Twitters?
I'm not on Twitter.
Are you like
I need to get on Twitter.
fair? I know you're on LinkedIn. I see that
Yeah.
you're pretty active on there and stuff, which is
I
cool.
need to be more active.
I do too, to be honest.
Facebook is really where I do a lot of stuff.
Are you okay with people adding you or
Totally,
like following you
totally.
or whatever? Okay.
My Instagram is at Hans with a Z, Hanz. No, at Hoobie Hans.
Oh boy.
Hoobie is my mom's nickname for me. You get it?
No, it went away.
Hoobie is the name my mom gave me, a nickname, Hoobie, Hans, Hanz, because S is not cool enough, so I always throw a Z sometimes to be cool. So at Hoobie Hans is my Instagram name, and I need to get a Twitter for sure.
Heck yeah. Well, sweet. Thank you so much for
Of
joining
course,
us on the
thanks for having me
podcast. I
here.
think anybody that listens to this will gain something. It's very beneficial. A lot of life lessons here,
Totally.
and we're not even at an hour yet, but it will be at over an hour. So keep listening
Perfect.
because we're gonna have Hans play the ukulele
Yeah.
as an ending track here, and you can find the video on the 605 Media and Entertainment Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. So thanks again, Hans, for coming on.
Can I throw one more plug?
Yes.
I always, if you need support with connecting with people, finding or building a relationship, and you just haven't been able to meet that right person or know who to go to for what, come and see me, hit me up, go to my office number, 605-642-6413, or email at hans.nelson@bhsu.edu. Shoot me an email. I'd love to connect you.
It's a lot of letters just
Yeah,
jumbled
it is.
together. It's
better than
amazing.
a student email.
Oh, that's very
Gosh.
true. My goodness. Well, sweet. Thank you
Thanks
so
so
much.
much. Really
And
appreciate
who
it,
knows,
guys.
we might have a part 2 eventually here.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, I learned how to play the ukulele in 2011. I was in Sweden living with this wonderful host mom, and she had like 5 or 6 ukuleles literally in her living room. Therese, why did I just forget her last name? Therese Signeus, wonderful, wonderful lady, and she I was one night just sitting literally going, because I'm a musician and I can hear notes. I mean, I don't know what note that is, but I can know when like that. So I was just playing around, and she gave me one. She says, if you can learn the Up With People theme song, and she taught me it, gave me the notes. If you can learn it, I will buy you your own ukulele. So I spent, because I was going to see her a week later. So I spent that week just practicing and playing and playing and playing and learned it. Came, performed it for her, and then she gave me this really cool red Mahala ukulele. And I traveled all over the world with this thing and learned it. And so then when I was in Germany, I used it to play music with the kids because I found that was a way for me to connect with them. And I saw this music video online of this little girl who had to have been 4 or 5, and her dad played this song and she sang, and it was the cutest thing ever. And I was like, oh, life goals, definitely want to learn the ukulele so my little girl or my little son will be able to sing with me, and like late at night, like instead of bedtime stories, we're gonna sing this song, and it's like cool songs, not just children's stuff. So I started doing that, and I found a couple kids in my classroom that were super talented that I was like, oh my gosh, this kid can really sing. And so I would do these classes and I would learn these songs specifically. I go, this would be a great song for children, like All I Want for Christmas Is My Two Front Teeth. Great song to learn with kids. They loved it. But I would be practicing with everybody, but really practicing for this one talented kid. So then when all the kids would leave, he was the type of kid, unfortunately, whose mom and dad dropped him at 7 o'clock in the morning. They didn't pick him up till 7 o'clock at night. So we were in charge of him that whole day. And so him and I would just hang out together after school, and I would play and he would sing, and it was the coolest thing ever. So, saw this video, a dad and his little girl, and I learned this, and then this little kid, his name was Maurice, he wore an eye patch, so his eyes would collaborate so he didn't go cross-eyed. It was really cool. Yeah, so I have a video with him wearing a Disney Cars eye patch, singing this song, holding a rose. So yeah, here we go. This one has some other instruments that I will include as we go along. It's called Tonight You Belong to Me. I remember seeing it in the movie The Jerk with Steve Martin. Him and the gal are walking on the beach and he's playing the ukulele to the song. And then I later heard it by Eddie, who's the guy for Pearl Jam? Why did I lost his name?
I forgot.
Eddie.
Yeah, it is.
I want to say Eddie
something.
Vedder.
I
think it is. Eddie Vedder. He created a ukulele album, and he sings this. So, Tonight You Belong to Me. I know you belong to somebody new, but tonight you belong to me. Although we're apart, you're part of my heart, but tonight you belong. I'm messing up. Belong to me. Way down by the stream, how sweet it would seem once more just to dream in the moonlight. My honey, I know with the dawn that you will be gone, and tonight you belong to me. Way down by the stream, how sweet it would seem once more just to dream in the moonlight. My honey, I know with the dawn that you will be gone, and tonight you belong to me. And tonight you belong to me. Takes me a little bit to warm up. It's funny, I have big fingers and I'm playing this little instrument, so sometimes if I don't have my fingers warmed up, it's hard to get those notes just right. But yeah, there you go. The kazoo, the forgotten instrument, a very fun instrument if you know how to play it. It's funny when do you know how to play the kazoo?
No.
It's you give it to people and they blow into it, but it's you use it with your voice. So it's a cool, funny instrument that you don't see very often.
I'm laughing because of Kai's
Yeah,
reaction.
right? He was like, "Woo."
Yeah, he likes that.
All right, this next song is a song by the Proclaimers. I'm Gonna Be 500 Miles. I'm gonna sing it to the cover version from a guy named Sleeping at Last. He does really cool covers in a neat acoustic style. So this is the style that I will play it in. It's a little bit slower, but it's fun. It's a cool, very, very simple. I don't get real complicated with my songs. If there's like a B sharp minor that I have to play, I go, oh, I'm gonna skip that one because I just need something simple that I can learn to just, like I said, it's my stress reliever. So, and I don't play enough to memorize. So,
Is there a kazoo in this?
Sorry?
Is there a kazoo in this?
No.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah. If we have time, I'll play one more that's fun that doesn't have the kazoo, but
Okay.
it's a cool song that I learned.
Okay, perfect.
When I wake up, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who wakes up next to you. When I go out, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who goes along with you. And if I get drunk, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who gets drunk next to you. And if I haver, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who's havering to you. But I would walk 500 miles and I would walk 500 more just to be that man who walks 1,000 miles to fall down at your door. When I'm working, yes, I know I'm gonna be the man who's working hard for you. And when the money comes in for the work I do, I pass almost every penny on to you. When I come home, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who comes back home to you. And if I grow old, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who's growing old with you. But I would walk 500 miles and I would walk 500 more just to be that man who walks 1,000 miles to fall down at your door. Fa la la, fa la 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 la, fa la 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 dee da. Fa la la, fa la 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 la, fa la 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 dee da. When I'm lonely, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who's lonely without you. And when I'm dreaming, well, I know I'm gonna dream about the time when I'm with you. And when I go out, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who goes along with you. And when I come home, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who comes back home to you. I'm gonna be the man who's coming home to you. But I would walk 500 miles and I would walk 500 more just to be that man who walks 1,000 miles to fall down at your door. Fa la la, fa la 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 la, fa la 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 dee da. Fa la down.
Awesome.
You. All right, one more. This one's a fun one. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but we'll play the fun parts here. And you got to tell me what this movie's from, so this is your pop quiz.
Great. I'm not good with that.
Now I'm the king of the swingers, ooh, the jungle VIP. I've reached the top and had to stop, and that's what's been bothering me. I wanna be a man cub and stroll right into town and be just like the other men. I'm just tired of monkeying around. Oh, bit-doo, I wanna be like you. I wanna walk like you, talk like you. You'll see it's true. A neighbor like me. No. Sorry, folks. Bad. You'll see it's true. A neighbor like me can learn to be human too. Now don't try to kid me, man cub, and don't get in my stew. When I desire man's red fire, so I can be like you. Give me the secret, man cub, and clue me what to do. Give me the power of man's red flower and make my dreams come true. Oh, bit-doo, I wanna be like you. I wanna walk like you, talk like you. There you go, folks. What movie's that from?
Jungle Book.
Yeah!
I thought it was gonna be hard.
Yeah.
I was nervous. I was like, oh boy. But I do know my Disney pretty well.
Yes. So there you go. Good times.